NFL Hall of Famer Brett Favre is facing questions tonight of whether he knowingly took $5 million of state welfare money to build a new volleyball facility for his daughter's team 5 years ago at her university and his alma mater.
I'm the furthest thing from a racist.
You know, you have to make a choice whether you want to pay your light bill or whether you want to put food on the table.
Favre's also an outspoken conservative, an ally of former President Donald Trump. There they are on the golf course together. Thumbs up.
New text messages show the pressure former NFL quarterback Brett Favre was putting on then Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant. Favre requested money for an indoor football practice facility to help recruit a player for his college alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi, in 2019. The funding in question from a grant program intended for low-income families. The governor responded to Favre's request. Use of these funds is tightly controlled. Any improper use could result in violation of federal law.
I mean, it's a shame. It's really a shame that we've come to this.
Brett Favre, after all that we have learned throughout these last few months, and the journalists at Mississippi Today, specifically Anna Wolf, has reported on and brought to us a story that she's worked on for over 2 years, has the nerve, under the guidance of a Trump lawyer he hired, to, in a pure Trumpian tactic, blame the media.
And then your argument is the media has smeared you.
Right.
I mean, that's what you come after hiding for weeks. Nobody could find that APB out for your behind. Not literally, figuratively speaking. We looking all over the place from you. You had a show on SiriusXM. We can't find you. You ain't show up for that.
Right.
We haven't seen you anywhere. But then when you speak, it's that you've gotten smeared? Really?
ESPN's Stephen A. Smith was not having it.
I mean, Favre's denial was so audacious. Like, I've done nothing wrong, when we have seen the text messages. The flat, shaggy, it wasn't me defense is not a terrible strategy. But anybody that's been paying attention to this, the text messages are like the smoking gun here. So it's an audacious defense, but I don't buy it at all.
FS1's Nick Wright was not having it.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest. Mississippi is the poorest state in our country.
It is.
Its citizens. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Favre is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. This is what we know. Scared when black and brown people do fraud the government, they hell bent. You get an EBT card, or you get WIC, or you get stuff like that, boy, they move heaven and earth to try to put you in jail for $400 little measly dollars.
Fact.
Now this man done took $1 million, and they sitting around like, well, you know, it happened, and we'll see. And they're gonna get more money and do it all over again. The biggest criminals, the people that steal the most, look like that.
Along with Fox Sports 1's Shannon Sharpe.
Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Nobody trying to hear that. Did you take money from welfare recipients or not? And if you didn't do it, how the hell is your name attached to such a scam? They already admitted to fraud, and he was involved in business with them. So you're saying it's them, but not you. Well, guess what? That doesn't mean you're being smeared. It means guilt by association in some people's eyes. You can say, I'm not guilty. Right. They are. Right. But to say that, it's the media smearing you, that is just cowardly, man.
I have a real serious problem with this from the Hall of Famer, who is, as many people have noted in the story, a son to the state of Mississippi, and Eric Hirschman, the Trump lawyer. But first, more developments.
This is a game changer.
A new concussion drug backed by NFL legend Brett Favre needed financing, so he turned to his home state of Mississippi, the poorest in the nation. The pitch was made in 2019 at Favre's home to the former head of the state's human services and Nancy New, the founder of a nonprofit that distributed welfare funds in the state. In a document obtained exclusively by CBS News, the drug company Prevacus asked for nearly $2 million from the Division of Human Services in the state of Mississippi. They struck this agreement. In exchange for funding, the drug would be made and tested in Mississippi. Former federal prosecutor Brad Pygott investigated the transactions for the state.
Both federal and Mississippi law required 100% of that money to go only to the alleviation of poverty within Mississippi.
Court documents show Prevacus was sent $1.5 million, with Favre's business associate later asking for the rest. "We would love $784K, he wrote with a smiley face emoji in a text message obtained by CBS News. New responded, "We can send $400K today," adding, "I will need to let Brett know that we will need to pull this from what we were hoping to help with on other activities." She has since pleaded guilty for helping funnel millions in welfare money for a volleyball center.
This is not philanthropy. It's not a passive investor. He invited the director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services into his house to receive the sales pitch.
Pygott, who you saw in the piece, was let go and relieved of his duties because I believe he was getting too close, as I have stated in previous pieces, he was getting too close to Tate Reeves' donors. And basically they said, ixnay. That's my opinion, my strong opinion on this. And the reason I say this is because there are ultra-wealthy donors at the University of Southern Mississippi, specifically the University of Southern Mississippi Athletic Foundation. If this rings a bell, it's because we did a piece on Brett Favre's charity, Favre for Hope. He donated funds. They received to it. It's more sinister than any of us thought. While Favre claims he did not know where the funds were coming from, that doesn't take away from the fact that he appeared to know they were not being used as intended, despite the evidence against him, which is damning. Favre remained silent for a month before finally accusing the media of a smear campaign as his first line of defense. Here's my issue, okay? Here's my issue, okay? When we have damning evidence against a person and we read the articles, we see the text messages, we see what Brett Favre is asking, we see a former USM president say he does not like what Brett Favre is up to because essentially, this is me summarizing, that former president is equating what he is doing to faulty business practices, and he didn't want to go along with it. There is so much here. And my problem is, even when all of that is there, they just deny. They just lie and deny. We saw it in the January 6th hearings, where Steve Scalise, after the Capitol rioters tried to take the building, held a press conference, and he called out Democrats in name for saying they failed to call the National Guard, when on video, Steve Scalise is right next to Dem lawmakers calling the National Guard. I have a serious problem with this. This is not new. It's just become more and more and more and more mainstream over the years. And I despise it. Because we even saw in their defenses, Rudy Giuliani said, well, truth isn't always truth. No. Truth is truth. Truth is truth. And I think we need to get back to that as quickly as possible.